Hey everybody, Fifth Horseman here, playing more Kerbal Space Program, and I've taken all the contracts I can, and I am hopefully going to get most of them here. We're using a lot of experimental parts, structural pylons, stack separators. We've even got an LVN, so sorry everyone who thought maybe if you had a chance you'd be able to use an LVN in your ship. You can't, because I'm going to test it here. I've also got this thing. I'm hopefully going to test it. I believe it is the first test, because it's the only thing that involves flying at Kerbin. And that is... we need to be over 14 kilometers and traveling at most 640 meters per second. Shouldn't be too hard, because that's about how fast you want to be traveling that high. So as long as we don't screw up the thrust to weight, we should be fine. So, also Laggard is flying this ship. This ship is destined to go to Minmus and Moon. It's going to orbit Minmus and land on Moon. And he's also going to plant a flag, which is awesome. So, in 3, 2, 1, launch. And holy cow, this thing has a lot of beef. Let's watch our atmospheric efficiency, which is already skyrocketing here. We've basically got to keep this thing under 640 by the time we get to 14 kilometers. Let's go ahead and top it down just a little bit to bring it back down. There we go. We're halfway there. We are traveling 240. We've got to start our gravity turns, sadly. What's our speed? Oh, we're still pretty low on the speed, which is good. I'm ready to run this test whenever the time comes. Our apoapsis is 20. We are at 14. Run the test, and we got the experiment. So now we can crank this thing up and go to town. Now all we care about is the fact that our apoapsis is crazy high. The other thing we're going to do, and you'll see this in a moment here, is we're going to get our... okay, 76. We're almost out of fuel. This thing also has no control, which could be bad. Yeah, even... yeesh. This could be bad. We might have to dump this thing and use the LVN to regain control. But the next thing to test is the LVN at height. And we've got... see, we've still got 500 meters per second, and I would really like to use it. So let's go ahead and see if we can right this thing here. I'm actually going to remove the staging of the LVN from the separation of the LVN. I'm just going to burn this thing out. Okay, 73. When we need... see, we're at the point where we need to test the LVN. So let's kick this. And let's kick on the LVN. Nice. Oh, we're not at 73 anymore. Dang you all. Let's get ourselves back up to 73. It's a horrible way to do orbit. 73.4 we have to be at. Okay, now I need to test. Okay, we got that one. So now we got to get him into orbit. Which means our periapsis has to be above 70. And we're kind of on a time crunch because I need to go back to the thing we dropped, wherever it is, and ride it down. Otherwise, we're going to lose all that money, not only from the booster, but from the parachutes we put on it and the probe core and everything. So we're going to get him into orbit. Yeah, I'm gonna make my orbit sort of poor just to get it above 70. There we go. Now we can jump back to the other ship. And yes, I did name this the Funds probe with a Z. Deal with it. Okay, he is coming back down. Let's go ahead and speed up time. Mostly it's just 8 parachutes and a probe core. That's all that's on this thing, and we're going to recover everything we can. I'm hoping the 8 parachutes is enough to keep it from splashing down into the water too hard. We're going to pull the chutes. So we're going to see what happens here. I don't know what's going to happen. I hope we at least keep this engine alive. If we keep the engine alive, it's all worth it. And recover before it decides to fall over. We recovered 71% of our value, which is a lot of money, which is awesome. And let's go ahead and head back up to the actual mission. Okay, and the actual mission is this, the funds mission. Okay, and let's see. The next thing we have to do is transmit or recover scientific data from around Kerbin. Well, tell you what, take a crew report and transmit that data back to Kerbin using your antenna that I put on your ship. And look at that, we just completed a contract. And we got 31 grand for that contract. That is crazy. Okay, what's next? Space around Minmus is probably the next thing we need to do. Because we need to get into an orbit around Minmus. Though we might actually be able to go from Moon to Minmus directly. But then Minmus orbit is where we're going to test this stack separator. The TR-38D, which is the next thing on the list. So let's, tell you what, let's see what happens if we were to go to Moon. And use it to get to Minmus. Yeah, that's not going to happen, probably. I've never actually really tested this sort of thing before. What if we go forward and back in time a little bit? Yeah, see, if we get really close to Moon, but then slow ourselves down a bit. Oh, look at that, Minmus. How close to Moon are we? Oh, that's not too close. And then that'll get us a encounter with Minmus, but we're going really fast, which is a problem. But that'll let us test the structural pylons. And what does that cost us? 873. But then we've got to get into Minmus orbit, which is going to require at least, what's the second one? 526, which is more than we normally need at Minmus. But not too much more. And that's a total of, what's that, 1,400, give or take? 8 and 6 is like 7 to 7, 1,400. And how much meters per second do we have on this guy? 5466. So we'll still have 6 grand to leave Minmus, get to Moon, land on Moon, and then get back to Kerbin. I think that's fine. And then that'll let us test the pylons early. So let's go ahead and do that. Because we're crazy. We're doing crazy science here. We can also do science data from space around Moon. And this will also, if we run out of fuel, we can just skip the planting a flag. Yeah, pylon on an escape trajectory from the Moon. So that's the next thing to happen. So let's set up our pylons here. Where are they? Right here. They're this guy. So this is the next thing to happen. We should be just on an escape trajectory from the Moon as soon as we enter Moon's sphere of influence here. And this is an 873 meter per second burn. 3264. That's 8 minus, say, 2 more is 6. It's about a sixth of that. So it's going to be maybe 2 minutes at the most, I'm guessing. That's about a 2-minute burn. It's a little bit more, but not a big deal. Okay, we have just entered Moon's sphere of influence. As usual, no plan survives contact with the enemy. This plane did not survive contact with Moon. I had to do a couple correction burns, but I got a really nice encounter with Minmus here, assuming I do this burn correctly. Which, let's just say, yeah, I can do this burn correctly. No probs. But we are now at Moon in an escape trajectory, so now we just need to test the structural pylons, which are next in the list. So if I just hit the spacebar, I tested the structural pylons. Now I need to make sure that this maneuver is actually doing what I want. So let's go ahead and focus on Minmus. Yeah, it's doing fine. We're going to need the orbit we need to be around Minmus in 13 to 25. This is 67, so it's actually not enough. So I'm going to prograde a little bit more. No, a little bit less. That's way too little. So somewhere between these two. Just to get our periapsis here between 16 and 25, which now it is, which is perfect. So, this is a 49-second burn, according to this thing, but I have a feeling that's low, or that's high, because it's only 53 meters per second. So I'm gonna wait until we're at 20 seconds, and I'm gonna hit the gas, and we'll see what it says. And that's in an hour. There's Kerbin. Oh, hi, Kerbin. Where's Moon? Oh, look at that. Okay. Usually you don't speed up when you're coming in around Moon, but we're going to. Laggard is all ready to go. Oh, wait. We need to transmit data from around Moon, so take a crew report and transmit that. We just transmitted data from space around Moon, so we got credit for that. That's awesome. Okay, we're going down to 20 seconds. Okay, now let's look at Minmus. And we're already too far. Oh, which means we actually need to come out a little bit. Okay, we're going to clear this maneuver node. And we're between 16 and 25, which is perfect. Okay. Now, we need to... Minmus is our target. Yeah, we're not going to worry about a little bit of orbital shenanigans here. But when we get to Minmus, we need to get into orbit. And I'm just going to do the bare minimum, because I think we can do the bare minimum, get into orbit, and as long as our altitude is what this thing says here, Minmus orbit, as long as we're between 13 and 25, I think that means we are going to, this will count. If not, we'll have to burn it, we'll have to burn our apoapsis down even further. But we'll worry about that when we get to Minmus. And we still got 4,400 Delta V, which is lots and lots. So let's go ahead and come back when we are coming in at Minmus. Okay, we have made it to Minmus. We can now transmit scientific data from space around Minmus, I believe. Yes, we can, so we know how we're going to do that. Take a useless crew report. Laggard, crew report. And transmit that back. Tell us what you think. And boom, we got it. So the only thing up there is to plant a flag on the moon. Now, we need to test the LV-1R liquid fuel booster. So we might as well get those down here. Gonna hit F5 because we won't accept mishaps while we're staging stuff. We're gonna test these guys. We are in Minmus on an escape trajectory. We have successfully tested them. Now we're gonna turn them off because they're actually really poor engines as compared to the LVN. And the next thing to do is get into orbit. Where's our orbit around Minmus? Orbiting Minmus. There we go. 13 to 25. So this is between 13 and 25. So all we got to do is do this burn. It says it's a 44-second burn. I think it's about right. So let's get down to 20 seconds. And as soon as we get into orbit, I'm going to see if this thing turns... See, we've got the altitude right, so I think as soon as we get into orbit, we'll be good. And then I'm going to cut it right there because we have no need to spend any more fuel getting into a better orbit than we already are. We just have to make sure we don't go above 2,500. And we're in orbit. All these things have been met. So let's make sure this stack separator is... the next thing to go. It is not, so bring it down here. We're going to hit F5 again because, like I said, I don't... These weird staging mishaps. Okay, so, boom. We have tested the stack separator. Sadly, it's going to stay in orbit around Minmus, but that's part of the test, sadly. Okay, we've got all of our Minmus stuff done. We have done the science from around Minmus. The only thing that's left is the moon stuff. Yeah, we've got to test this stack separator orbiting moon at 70,000 meters, between 70 and 73, which is pretty low thing here. So what we're going to do now is we are going to see if we can get and encounter with the moon. The crazy part is we're going to be burning kind of like this. Maybe? I don't know. It's a crazy... Oh, and it's crazy... Yeah, I almost want to turn around and burn prograde here. Just to get away from Minmus. And then out here, do a burn that'll bring us down to the moon. Because I don't think we're going to get much benefit from Minmus. Wait, where's moon? There it is. What does this cost? This here costs a tiny little bit and a tiny little bit. The other option is to wait until... Wait a quarter Minmus orbit, which is actually better when you think about it. So, let's go ahead and fix our orbit compared to moon. Because we're kind of orbiting crazy here. And then when we get here... See, if we burn from here... yeah, you know what? I'm not going to plan this second node yet. We'll just do this first one. Okay, I'm going to do all this, and then we will be back when... I'll be back when I have an encounter with Moon, because you kind of see what I'm doing. I'm setting up my periapsis so that when I burn backwards in the orbit, when Minmus orbits around this way and it's over here somewhere, when I burn backwards, I can get an encounter with Moon's orbit, and then we'll worry about actually encountering Moon after that. So I'll be back. Okay, I have a periapsis that is creeping. Is it actually creeping, or is it just... Yes, it's actually creeping. Damn it. Okay, I'm going to hit F5. This is a reason to F5 and F9, people. F5, and then hold down F9. Because we're getting phantom forces, and that's... No offense, but phantom forces are bogus when you're dealing with... Okay, hopefully my periapsis is not still going down. It looks like it is, which is even more bogus. Okay, I reloaded the game and we seem to still have phantom forces, so I'm going to fix those by judicious use of time warp. I need to be around 70,000, so I'm going to use this to my advantage. And when this gets down to the 70s, I am going to hit the whatever it is, the time warp here, and get a nice encounter. I figured the fuel I burned getting this thing closer is worth it. There we go. 62. That'll, when I get into the sphere of influence, hopefully it will solidify itself there. I hate those phantom forces. I don't know where they come from or why they happen, but they are annoying. Okay, here we come. There's our ship, and boom, we're in orbit, and our orbit seems to be stable now. Yes. Okay, so now let's burn radially away from Moon to get our periapsis right about 70. There we go. Perfect. Now, when we're here, we need to burn... Might as well put it right on the periapsis here. Just enough to get a or to get in orbit around Moon, and then we can do this stage thing here. Well, that's amusing. We're actually aimed in almost exactly the right position. Then we can stage our final thing, which is this guy. Which annoyingly means it's going to also remain in orbit. I might be able to... I wonder if I could run the test. Now, see, it's still just decoupled. There's no option to run the test. So it is the next thing to go, though. So we can just ride this thing down to our periapsis here. Should probably bring our contracts up. One nice thing about leaving the game and going back in, and actually I noticed that it works with F9 and F5 too, is it clears this contract window, which is something the game should just do, to be honest. Whoop. There we go. Where's Moon? Moon is somewhere. Ah, Moon's to the left. Hi, Moon. Okay, so when we get closer to our periapsis here, it says it's a 48-second burn, which, ooh, that is completely wrong. We can actually thrust limit this guy back up. I had him really low because I was doing some fine-tuning here. But we're about in the realm where we will be, where this is going to hit. There we go. Now, the only thing we need now is to be in orbit. So we're going to get right down to the wire here, because this isn't a very long burn. In spite of what the maneuver node thing says. It's probably closer to a 5-second burn than a 50-second burn. Told ya. Okay, I tested this thing. So now we are in orbit. This thing is like wedged into our ship, but hey, we got the contract. That's the important thing. And the only thing that's left is to plant a flag on the moon, and we have $4 grand left in the tank, which is plenty. And we're on the sunny side of the planet, so let's actually, yeah, let's go ahead and kill this maneuver node. Out here, let's slow ourselves down. Bring ourselves down right over the sunny part of this planet here. Periapsis of $6 grand. That looks perfect to me. What's our periapsis? $8 grand. I think that's good enough. We don't want to go crazy. Ah, we do. Let's go right down to 6. 5.9. Okay, perfect. Okay, now we're going to add a maneuver here to basically stop us. And that says it's a 15-minute burn, but that's bull. 762 meters per second is just about a 7th. Closer to a 6th, probably, of this. Because a 7th of 700 is 41. Sorry, it's 49. No, I'm totally screwed up. 7 goes into 42 about 6 times. Right? Is that right? Yeah. So, but wait, well, 8 goes into 40. That's actually easier. 8 goes into 45 times. So at 45 seconds, we're going to start burning this thing here. Woohoo! Go ahead and open our landing gear. Set up so that it will protect that LVN from landing, ideally. And let's hit the gas. So let's do it at 50 seconds, just to be sure here. A minute and a half. I was just about right, which is awesome. Okay. We don't need no stinking maneuver node anymore, that's for sure. Actually, we're going right for the killing of the horizontal velocity. I would like to land somewhere non-bumpy, but I don't think that's an option. Yeah, we're just going to have to try to land in the middle of a crater somewhere or something. But I'm not super concerned about it, to be honest with you. We can probably put the ambient light back, maybe bring it up just a little bit. So Moon's not quite so washed out. Well, we're actually looking really good. We did lose our stack separator at some point in all this maneuvering. Looks like we're going to come down right kind of here-ish. Let's bring up the HUD again. Yeah, right in between these two craters. Looks pretty darn good for a flag planting ceremony here. Or right here, I guess, is fine. Let's Get ourselves aimed up right here. This is probably fine. How sloped can it be? Oh wait, this thing tells me 2.9 degrees. That's nothing. I can do that in my sleep. Okay, we're just slowing ourselves down. No sense getting crazy here. I apparently have to be basically not using the engine. Okay, could have been a better landing. I'm not going to lie here. Where are we? Let's do a crew report from the Midlands. Sweet, keep that data. Surface sample. Go ahead and hop out. You deserve to be able to do this here. Let's go ahead and take a surface sample and an EVA report. Keep those. And, let's see, where's a good place to plant the flag? Let's look around here. There's really nowhere. Let's just, how about by this rock here? And again, I don't know who contracted this, who's paying us for it. But I believe that whoever it is mad that Coca-Cola got the first flag on the moon, so they're paying us to put a flag here. Where's the flag? There we go, plant a flag. And I believe that's the P3 P51. They make energy drinks, I think. P3 P51, the choice of a new Kerbo Nation. This has been a 100% successful mission, and the hilarious part is... Oh, the hilarious part is you are crashing yourself onto the surface here. There we go. The hilarious part is I think we got far more science from completing these contracts than we ever would have from anything else. But what are you going to do? Okay, let's also hop back out really quick, because we can take a... I guess we can't take a EV report from flying over the Midlands. We must have gotten that one already. That's fine. Let's go ahead and take off to the east, and let's see, what are we looking at as far as stuff is concerned here? Yeah, the only thing we haven't done is the turbojet, which we basically can't do. I was actually thinking about bringing the turbojet with me and trying to splash down at Kerbin. We've got 3,000 though, so we're fine. Let's go ahead and take off to the east. Make sure we're not going to crash into anything here. Looks fine. Get our apoapsis, let's say up to 10 kilometers. Very, very good mission, Laggard. You have done everything that was required. You got all the parameters. Whoa, 16. Okay. I guess not all the parameters, but hey, what are you going to do? That's funny. You actually got our periapsis above the... We're in a stable orbit right now, which is kind of hilarious. It's kind of low on that side, obviously, but what are you going to do? And let's see, we could actually possibly just burn back to Kerbin on this side here. Let's go ahead and try it right around here. And we'll just get it down to about 14. I don't really care where we land. This mission was so profitable, it doesn't really matter. So we will burn here. Once we've gone around the moon once, let's go ahead and watch that. That should be fun. Oh, look at that down there. That's crazy looking. Let's go ahead and watch our favorite moon go by here. Let's get into free mode. Laggard, successful moon and moon orbiter, moon lander, and return. Did all the tests. Now he's chilling out, watching the landscape go by. Wondering if he'll see any... what do you call them? Arches or any other artifacts on the moon. But it's looking like no. Okay, what is our Kerbin Periapsis now? Let's go ahead and kill this maneuver node. Kerbin Periapsis of 20. Perfect. Okay. We are heading home, laggard. Let's go ahead and do this thing here. Yeah, we have 852 science. Just for doing these contracts. I gotta figure out a way to limit the science gain from contracts, because that's ridiculous. Whoa! Okay, let's just go ahead and turn this off. Let's hit the chutes. I don't know how much the chutes are going to slow us down, but we do have all three of these engines, which actually, you know what, I'm going to activate them again. Just to give us the extra oomph to slow down if we need to save this really expensive LVN engine. Let's see, crew report. Might as well. From over the Highlands. You get a great view of the Highlands. That's nice. Oh boy. And we fell over. And something blew up, but apparently whatever it was wasn't a big deal. Let's go ahead and get a crew report from here. Let's go ahead and transmit it. Why not? Oh, the comm device blew up. That's hilarious. Well, we got the crew report, though. So let's go ahead and recover this vessel for our final view of what we got. We got 33 science, but we've got a lot more than that from the contracts. We got 79% of our value back. And Laggard Kerman, successful hero, has returned home. Well, now we can afford our ship to Jewel. We can afford like 3 of them. But let's go ahead and check out the science and see what you guys can build for me. Because I think we can just unlock all of these. 160. 160. This is crazy. 160. Another 160. I think this will be it. The next thing we're going to unlock is the LVN that we just tested. We're also going to start getting rover parts. We got bigger parachutes and stuff. We've got more science, so you guys can start throwing this barometer on your ships. And ladders, which is going to be nice. We've got solar panels that extend and retract. That's awesome. We've got all these little doodads here, which I don't really care about generally, but feel free to make me stuff. And this one, which obviously we already unlocked before. So, wow, next episode, I will be flying whatever I couldn't fly. I think it was Kyle's Jewel ship that he built, and it's gonna I think it has 4 people in it, which is gonna be awesome. So we're gonna send 4 of you, including Kyle if he's still on the ground, up to Jewel in that. Our Jewel window is still, let's back out of here. Our Jewel window is still 32 days away, so we got plenty of time for that. So that's what we're going to be doing next episode, is launching that thing and probably getting these guys sent off to Jewel. So that's going to be fun. I hope you enjoyed watching me just rip apart science and everything. I definitely enjoyed ripping apart science and everything. I am 5th Horseman, and I will, as always, talk at you later.